friends. Today is September 25th, and we are reading Acts chapter 25 together. But before we do that, I just want to take a moment to honor someone who was very special to me. It was my grandmother. She has been in heaven for 1 year today, and this is her Bible, and this is what I wanted to show you. I have it open to Psalm 119, and in there is Psalm 119 is unique because the author used an acrostic poem when he created it. And so if you notice all the different separations, it'll have these little headings, like this one is Beth. And so what it is the Hebrew alphabet. And so the first letter has a section, the second letter has a section. Anyway, my grandmother wrote lots of little notes throughout her Bible. She highlighted so many things, and I'm going to spend this year, starting today, reading through her entire Bible and just checking out all the little surprises she might have left in there along the way. I can remember my grandmother sitting in her rocking chair with her house coat on and her Bible in her lap, reading the scriptures and highlighting and trying to find God, trying to search for Him through His Word. And so I just wanted to share a little bit of her legacy. I know that I probably got the start of my love for God's Word from her. And I just want to thank God for her for a minute, and also to honor her memory and pray that I will leave the same kind of legacy for my little girls and my little granddaughters and grandsons one day. And I'm just so grateful for that. So here we go. Acts chapter 25. 3 days after Festus arrived in Caesarea to take over his new responsibilities, he left for Jerusalem, where the leading priests and other Jewish leaders met with him and made their accusations against Paul. They asked Festus as a favor to transfer Paul to Jerusalem, planning to ambush and kill him on the way. But Festus replied that Paul was at Caesarea, and he himself would be returning there soon. So he said, "Those of you in authority can return with me. If Paul has done anything wrong, you can make your accusations." Now that was definitely wisdom there, because if you remember 2 years ago, those Jews were not going to eat anything until they had killed Paul. So I see they're still up to their plan. And I'm thankful for the wisdom of this man named Festus to not allow that to happen. I know that's got to be the compassion and favor of God. Verse 6, about 8 or 10 days after Festus returned to Caesarea, and on the following day he took his seat in court and ordered that Paul be brought in. When Paul arrived, the Jewish leaders from Jerusalem gathered around and made many serious accusations they couldn't prove. Paul denied the charges. "I am not guilty of any crime against the Jewish laws, or the temple, or the Roman government," he said. Then Festus, wanting to please the Jews, asked him, "Are you willing to go to Jerusalem and stand trial before me there?" But Paul replied, "No, this is the official Roman court, so I ought to be tried right here. You know very well I am not guilty of harming the Jews. If I have done anything worthy of death, I don't refuse to die. But if I am innocent, no one has a right to turn me over to these men to kill me. I appeal to Caesar." Wow. Festus conferred with his advisors and then replied, "Very well, you have appealed to Caesar, and to Caesar you will go." A few days later, King Agrippa arrived with his sister Bernice to pay their respects to Festus. During their stay of several days, Festus discussed Paul's case with the king. "There is a prisoner here," he told him, "whose case was left for me by Felix. When I was in Jerusalem, the leading priests and Jewish elders pressed charges against him and asked me to condemn him. I pointed out to them that Roman law does not convict people without a trial. They must be given an opportunity to confront their accusers and defend themselves. When his accusers came here for the trial, I didn't delay. I called the case the very next day and ordered Paul brought in. But the accusations made against him weren't any of the crimes I expected. Instead, it was something about their religion and a dead man named Jesus, who Paul insists is alive." And friends, I insist that too. Jesus is alive, and that is why we can have hope and joy and peace today, and that is why I can think fondly and remember my grandmother and not be so terribly sad that I miss her, because I know that she's in heaven with Jesus, and I'm just so grateful for that, and that one day I'll get to see her again. Moving on to verse 20. I was at a loss to know how to investigate these things, so I asked him whether he would be willing to stand trial on these charges in Jerusalem. But Paul appealed to have his case decided by the emperor. So I ordered that he be held in custody until I could arrange to send him to Caesar. "I'd like to hear the man myself," Agrippa said. And Festus replied, "You will, tomorrow." So the next day, Agrippa and Bernice arrived at the auditorium with great pomp, accompanied by military officers and prominent men of the city. Festus ordered that Paul be brought in. Then Festus said, "King Agrippa, and all who are here, this is the man whose death is demanded by all the Jews, but both here and in Jerusalem. But in my opinion, he has done nothing deserving of death. However, since he appealed his case to the emperor, I have decided to send him to Rome. But what shall I write the emperor? For there's no clear charge against him. So I have brought him here before all of you, and especially you, King Agrippa, so that after we examine him, I might have something to write. For it makes no sense to send a prisoner to the emperor without specifying the charges against him." I guess the charge is that he believes that Jesus Christ is still alive. Can someone charge you with that, my friend? The verse I'm going to write down is verse 19. Instead, it was something about their religion and a dead man named Jesus, who Paul insists is alive. I'm going to write that in my journal and spend some time talking to God about that, and I pray you will do the same, friends. And thank you for listening as I shared a little about my grandmother. Be blessed.